Want to hear a spoiler? Batman is Bruce Wayne. And there's more spoilers in this episode. Ain't I a spoil sport? This is Diabolical, the show where four long-suffering friends dissect films' most dastardly schemes, then compete to improve them. I'm your host, Craig, and this week's movie is 1993's animated series spin-off, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. So, Peril Pals, don your best death mask, kill everyone who's ever looked at you sideways, and let's get diabolical. Welcome to this week's episode. As host for this week, I'm the head of the Panel of Peril crime syndicate. In a moment, I'll welcome the rest of the panel, who will compete against me at the close of the show in a bid to become Gotham's most unhinged vigilante, as we each try to come up with the best alternative plan for the movie villain of the week, before we vote to name this week's most diabolical. As ever, I'm joined by three victims of Joker toxin. Please introduce yourselves and tell me, what is your favourite mask? And let's start with Adam.
Hello, it's me, Adam. My favourite mask, I have to say, is the Predator mask, because there's quite a few variations of it now, so every time it changes and stuff, especially in the latest film Prey and things like that. I like it. It's good. They keep changing as the years go by, as technology gets better and the Predator changes, and great. Love it.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Ben, what's your favourite mask?
Hi, Ben here, guys. I'm a big Zelda fan, so the masks in Majora's Mask leap to mind immediately.
Jesus. Why did I let you go before me?
If I have to choose just one, although the titular mask is iconic,
Yes.
I would have to say my favourite is the Goron mask, because it lets you roll around at high speed.
And play bongos.
And play bongos.
Well, I might have one from Majora's Mask as well, but it's not the Goron mask. And the best. What's your favourite mask?
Hello, how do you do? The best here. And my favourite mask was one worn by a wrestler who's no longer with us, died last year, tragically young, called Bray Wyatt, who introduced a new character after being a cult leader previously. It was kind of like a Mr. Rogers type character. I'm WhatsApping a picture now of how he looked in his little build-up videos for weeks on end before in his Firefly Funhouse. And then about 6 weeks into these videos, he revealed the other side of the character, which was his repressed half, which was the Fiend, which is the second part of the character. And it was such a good reveal, because everybody was like, what is this Mr. Rogers weird character after he was a cult leader? And then he revealed that he was a monster underneath it all.
That's really cool.
Yes, very, very cool.
It would have been excellent if he just wrestled as Mr. Rogers.
He did, occasionally. Not very often, mostly as the Fiend, but yeah, he did Mr. Rogers matches too.
Well, I thought, and I made some predictions about what masks you would pick, and I thought the best would pick the mask from The Mask.
I nearly did.
The green version of the mask from The Mask, not the...
Yeah.
Because he couldn't be asked picking anything.
No, just because I know he really likes it.
Oh, right, okay.
And I thought Ben would probably pick something along the lines of something from Majora's Mask, but I was thinking maybe something weirder, like one of the wood masks that the little leaf children wear, something like that. And Adam, I thought you'd pick Rocky from the Cher film Mask.
Well, because they look the same.
No, I just remember that you really love that film.
Yeah.
Now, as it's my final episode as host of Season 5, I felt like now would be a good time to introduce a new icebreaker, which I'm calling To the Victor Go the Spoils. It works like this. I'll tell you 3 ways in which Batman Mask of the Phantasm was spoiled, 1 of which I've invented and 2 of which are true. Identify the Joker in the pack for some kudos. So 1, the closing credits song, I Never Even Told You, performed by Wayne's World's Carrera, and written by Cedar Garrett and Glenn Ballard, spoiled the entire plot of the film when it was released as a single just 1 day prior to the theatrical premiere. Number 2, The mystique of the choral voices that can be heard throughout the opening title sequence was spoiled when it was revealed to be the names of key Warner Brothers staff read backwards. Brother, 3. Kenner Toys spoiled the reveal of the Phantasm's secret identity by releasing an unmasked action figure. So, which of the ways of spoiling Batman Mask of the Phantasm there do you think are true?
So 3 of them are false. We've got to
Yeah.
find the true one.
That's correct.
Right. It's because it's a new game every week and I'm just trying to work out how to do it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should try and keep one where we know what the rules are.
Every week you do this.
Yeah. A bit of consistency would help.
Just try and keep things fresh because you guys are getting stale.
Too confusing. I crave routine.
I don't like the idea of Millhouse having 2 spaghetti meals in one day.
I think the action figure one is the false one because I don't think they were making action figures for the animated series at that point.
In the year 2000, the height of action figure toydom.
1993, your source as well.
I thought I thought the best who is a font of knowledge on toys meant Kenner specifically. I thought he was getting that granular into the detail.
It was actually Mattel, I think you'll find.
I didn't understand the second one, so that's going to be my choice.
I'm going to go one with Tia Carrera.
Tia Carrera.
Yeah. That's the name, innit? Tia Carrera.
Tia Carrera's career was ruined by Tia Maria.
Don't forget her sister, Mia Carrera.
Well, I can tell you that Adam is correct. Tia Carrera does perform the closing credits song, but as far as I know, it doesn't spoil the plot of the film and wasn't released the day before the film.
What do you mean? As far as you know? So it could do.
Well, it doesn't.
For the purposes of this quiz, it doesn't.
But yeah, Kenner did release an unmasked toy of Andrea, revealing the twist. And the choral voices heard throughout the opening title music are the names of key Warner Brothers staff read backwards. Spoiled it for me. Time now to delve into this week's film. Following the smash hit success of Saturday morning cartoon GOAT, Beat-Ass, that's Batman the Animated Series, WB, that's Warner Brothers, and GOAT, by the way, is greatest of all time. Warner Brothers were quick to greenlight production of a feature film tie-in and even quicker to rush the production in order to run a theatrical release. As a result, the marketing campaign failed to deliver at the box office, and while the film eventually made a profit on home release, it was seen as a flop, and it would be some time before we see another animated outing for the Caped Crusader on the big screen. However, the film was received positively by critics and fans of the show, many ranking it above some of Batman's modern live-action movies. Adapting elements of comic-run Batman Year 2, the story approaches the origin of the Batman from a fresh perspective, with flashbacks eschewing the well-worn tropes of pearls clattering to the ground and a broken boy in an alley swearing to commit his life to avenging his slain parents in favor of a Bruce Wayne early in his crime-fighting career, finding peace in the arms of kindred spirit Andrea Beaumont and seeking his parents' posthumous approval to break his oath and live a happy life with her. We know their romance is doomed as the action picks up in the present day, where Bruce haunts the rooftops and alleyways of Gotham dressed as a bat, but we're hopeful of a reconciliation as Andrea returns to the city following the murder of an associate of her father at the hands of a mysterious phantasmal vigilante Grim Reaper. Tragically, however, we discover Andrea's path mirrors Bruce's own, as it's revealed she is the very Phantasm herself, orphaned like Bruce and avenging the death of her parents in her own way. Along the way, we're also treated to a glimpse at the backstory of Batman's true significant other, the Joker. Featuring, in my eyes, or, well, ears, the definitive versions of Batman and the Joker, the late Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, respectively, along with future Lois Lane and Tombstone heartbreaker Dana Delany, Mask of the Phantasm is a sometimes flawed but frequently stunning story with some of the most disturbing portrayals of the Joker and his chilling MO ever put on screen, and is, for me, one of the greatest Batman features. But what did the panel make of it? And let's turn first to the best.
I was surprised at just how well it held up. I'm certainly kind of a casual fan of Batman the Animated Series, more so of the Justice League series that followed it. I hadn't really seen any of it recently within the last more than 10 years. And I watched Mask of the Phantasm with my son Dylan, and we both loved it. The stylization of Gotham, the animation, the sort of square-jawed characters, the voice work. Kevin Conroy's obviously superb as Bruce and Batman. Mark Hamill as the Joker, fantastic. The score, which plays off of Danny Elfman's score, makes it feel properly epic. And like Craig mentioned in his brand new quiz round, that the choral singing is just, it really sets it on edge straight away. It's a great opening credit sequence. The plot too is really good, like a proper mystery, the kind that we haven't really seen on screen until Matt Reeves' latest Batman film. And yeah, the character work too, the two characters, Batman or Bruce, and Andrea, struggling with their own traumas, their own intertwined traumas surrounding their parents, and able to move past them at the same time and come together and be happy together. It's really strong stuff. 4 kids, but there's a lot in there for adults, a lot of meaty stuff. Yeah, it's really good. And I bought it on DVD for this, and I'm glad I did, because I'll certainly be rewatching it within the near future, I would think.
Wonderful.
You love watching cartoon characters kiss, that's why. You bloody love it.
Oh, I love it.
Who doesn't?
I love it. I put it in slow-mo.
Okay, let's hear next from Adam, please.
To pick up on a point that the best said there, I think the reason why it wasn't successful is because it was like a movie of halves, wasn't it? It was like there was a bit in there quite a bit in there for the adults, and there was a bit in there for the kids as well. But it was neither one nor the other, which I kind of felt it was. And then as well, it felt to me like it was more like a long episode or something rather than a film. It was too short to be a film, but too long to be an episode. Either trim a bit or add a bit. I thought. But that being said, I did enjoy the watch and everything. Obviously, paying particular attention to Mark Hamill's Joker, and eventually he does show. He shows quite late, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And yeah, he does quite a bit with what he's got. I'd never heard of it before. And then when I did a bit of research into it, 1993 and stuff, and I thought, well, it's probably one of those that didn't do so well. And you just said, no, it's not one of those films that did particularly well. It's probably got lost. Bit of a shame, really, because personally, I think with a bit extra, it could have done really well and been held up a bit more than it actually has been.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it's probably passes a lot of people by, but it's definitely, I recommend it people, if they love the Batman franchise, it's definitely worth a watch because it's an interesting concept. There's a lot in there.
I think you're right. I think it could be fleshed out a bit more. I think probably you don't spend enough time with the likes of Chucky Saul and Sal Valestra to kind of get invested in them. And I think they probably would have liked to expanded upon it. But like I said in the intro, it was intended to be direct to VHS by the production company. They didn't want the Joker to be in it because they wanted to kind of remove it from people comparing it to the then recent Tim Burton film, which the cartoon was kind of loosely based on.
Mm.
And Warner Brothers, due to the success of the series, wanted it to have a theatrical run, and they pushed for that to happen in 8 months. They did, in fairness, massively bump up the budget, which is why you get things like the gorgeous 3D rendered animated Gotham in the opening titles, and some real moments of animated flair that I'm sure we'll talk about in our favorite moments. But yeah, I think that the success of it and the length of it are both due to that rushed production schedule.
Lost count of how many films this season that have fallen foul of that, basically, like rush production, rushed editing, cut budgets, or studio interference. It's been an absolute pain in the arse for so many productions, and it's really sad.
Well, let's hear next from animated movie fan Ben.
Well, I watched this on my way to and from a footy game, so the runtime was spot on.
He likes a runtime.
Yeah, great runtime. I absolutely loved the animation style. It felt like a sort of modern take on Art Deco.
Yeah, Max Fleischer.
Yeah, which you could see, took a lot from the Tim Burton film. I thought the cars and the architecture especially were really impressive. The story was a bit romance and flashback heavy for me, but it did feel like it was woven together fairly skillfully. But the parts where it really came to life for me involved Mark Hamill's Joker. He just brought a whole different energy that commands your attention on screen. I think he's a brilliant Joker, and he might actually be my favorite. It's between him and Cesar Romero, I'd say.
Yeah.
So overall, I give it, do you like noir? Do you like Mark Hamill? Do you like seeing animated characters smooch repeatedly? Then this little gem of an animation might just tickle your fancy.
And what's that out of?
That's out of 5.
It's out of 5.
Wow.
Right.
Whoa. Right.
It's just a matter of taste, isn't it? Whether you enjoy the romantic subplot. I personally think it's really
sexy,
intriguing, and I like the arc for Bruce, where rather than the usual tortured Bruce on a mission that we see, we get to see a side of him where he actually wants to give this up, which I think is really interesting and something we're not used to seeing in Batman on the big screen.
I think Bruce's arc is mostly in his trousers when he's kissing Andrea Beaumont. Whoa,
definitely arcing.
Whoa, what an arc.
Yeah. Did you think, by the way, that moment when Alfred comes out of the house with the drinks for them?
He does it twice, doesn't he?
There's a few times, yeah. That's in my highlights.
Is Bruce's arse hanging out in that scene? Because we don't get to see it from that angle.
No, it's a peach in a bowl of fruit. That's all you see. That's all it is.
And another thing I really love about this is it has a lot of nods for comic fans to things like Dick Sprang era, where Batman and his villains would frequently be pictured atop giant oversized props. Like, I don't know if you know, but in the Batcave there's a giant penny, like for Two-Face, and there's a Joker thing where they're on a giant piano and the keys are going to crush Batman and Robin, stuff like that. So you get quite a lot of that in this, thanks to the Gotham World's Fair and that crazy sort of kaiju battle that Batman and Joker have in the model city. So yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's really nicely animated, and I'm a big fan of it. So let's talk about our favourite sequences, lines, etc. And let's begin with Adam.
Well, I liked the bit where Bruce sees the motorcycle gang harassing that fella.
Yeah, and it's Marlon Brando.
Shoes there, yeah. And then it's got some bits where it's like the guy getting the chain and it's whoosh like that, and it's going back, and it's like the kapow boom and all that kind of move, isn't it? It's that
right.
Got that focus on it. Love that. And then there's a bit where he jumps onto the front of the motorbike and then kicks the guy in the face. And I was like, I really like that.
Yeah, he punches him in the face, doesn't he? And it's that classic.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he smashes him. Yeah, it's like bounces off the front mudguard and slams into his face. I was like, oh.
The pose that he's doing there is like a classic Batman pose. Yeah,
it's great. I really, really, really enjoyed that bit. I thought it was just good. There's loads of good bits in it, but that was the one that I was like, wow. That's like old 60s Batman's kind of thing.
Yeah, speaking of old 60s Batman, I love how Bruce in this dresses like Adam West quite frequently.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
The wide collar shirt and the cricket jumper over it.
Yeah.
All right, the best. Favourite moments for you?
I think I'm going to plump for quite a small moment at the start of the kaiju battle that you referenced in the model city of Gotham, Gotham's World Fair.
Don't do it. Don't you dare.
Where he's creeping around looking for the Joker, and then just behind him, and he's tiptoeing around. I burst out laughing. It's very, very funny.
That was my favourite bit. And I am no longer participating in this podcast.
Goodbye.
I wrote in all caps in bold, Joker has disguised himself as a
It's amazing.
Yeah. I love that Joker in the series, and this is properly unhinged. Well, Ben, do you have another favourite sequence, or were you stuck with that one?
You alluded to it earlier, the kaiju battle is when Batman is trying to find the Joker, and you see him searching this miniature city, And then you see a building moving in the background, and you find out it was the Joker disguised as a building.
Right, yeah. No, that's
good.
Yeah, that was my favorite. And then just edit out the best bit.
Just beep it all.
Your silence only incriminates you. The best. No, don't attack me. No.
Anyone have any other favorite moments?
Wait. I have a real other one. Don't worry.
Yeah, go.
And we talked about it earlier, but I loved when Alfred kept walking in and seeing him kissing and then walking back out.
Yeah,
That was great. A nice repeated joke. But I also liked the Joker, when he put his rocket pack on, somehow had the sense to wear a helmet despite being completely unhinged.
Yeah.
I think he did it for the look.
It's brilliant.
Just in case I get any brain damage from crashing. Yeah. Oh dear. It'd be terrible.
Yeah, and then my other favourite Joker moment, it has a line, so I will keep that for the favourite lines.
There's also a conscious decision to leave Harley Quinn out of this. She'd been created for the animated series, but they wanted to showcase Joker alone, which I think is somehow a lot more disturbing, especially that he lives in that rundown World's Fair with that crazy carrot chopping robot wife that he has.
Say no more about that, because that's my favourite line.
Okay. Well,
no, keep ruining it. Keep going. Come on.
Couple of favorite moments for me then, since nobody mentioned them. One being the amazing scene where Bruce becomes Batman for the first time, and when Alfred sees him, he just says, "My God!"
He jizzed in his pants.
Chilling, yeah. Poor old Alfred, eh? You know, that kind of is echoed in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. The version of Alfred that really just wants his son to have a normal, nice life with a nice lady, and just will never get it. And obviously, it's great that had a happy ending where he gets to see that. But you never get that happy ending in the animated series. Oh no! And another favorite moment for me is just Artie, the councilman and former lawyer, when he's been infected with the Joker toxin and he's in hospital, and he's laughing uncontrollably, and they sedate him, and he's just going to sleep, and then he sees the shadow of Batman across his bed, and then sees Batman in the window, and he starts laughing again. He goes, "Oh no!" That's amazing.
I got one more. It is the sequence where Batman is being chased over the rooftops by the police helicopters.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much just backed into a corner in a rooftop alleyway, I suppose it must be. So in order to get away, he attaches his cowl to
police barricade.
Yeah, and they drag it up as though he's flying away, and then they machine gun it loads, and you're like, oh my God, they got him. But yeah, it's just his cape and cowl, and then obviously he's been unmasked, so he's got to escape double quick then. So it's kind of an upping of the ante almost.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to favourite lines, and let's hear this time first from Ben, please.
Oh, thank you. So we talked about the Joker living with his animatronic wife.
Yeah.
We just get to glimpse him not doing anything sinister, just hanging around the house one evening. He talks to his wife and says, "What do you say, hun? Feeling the electricity tonight?"
And then a bit of her face falls off.
Yeah. It's brilliant. But to be fair, this script had a lot of really, really good lines.
Yeah.
For older viewers, I think that probably kids wouldn't get. I think it's quite funny.
Yeah, really well scripted. Yeah. All right then. Well, let's hear next from the best.
I'm gonna proffer my favorite line, and then I'm gonna give a small reason as to why it is. So the line is in the sequence that Adam mentioned, where Bruce takes out the bike gang. He tells them to get on their bellies. Which is a bit odd in itself. But then the leader of the gang says, "You heard him, boys. You heard Mr. Kung Fu."
Oh, yeah.
And it reminded me of someone I used to work with who could not walk past you without trying to make a funny comment. And one time I was washing my hands and he said about me, "There he is, Mrs. Washing Up Hands." It just reminded me of that. Oh, yeah, nice one.
Yeah.
That was a good line, that.
Adam, favourite line?
It's from one of his Bruce Wayne Klingons, and she says, "What about the I word? Engagement." I just thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, that's a bizarrely designed character. Didn't understand that.
Yeah, he got like 3 babes hanging off his arm right at the beginning, isn't he? I was like, oh, Bruce.
Well, my favourite line is a more serious one. It's a wonderful scene where Bruce confronts Andrea and they have an argument, and they're talking about, he says he's been spying on her, reading her lips. And she says to him, the way I see it, the only one in this room controlled by his parents is you, which I think is just such a really good and savage summary of who he is at that time in his life.
Cutting.
All right. Well, Ben, you got some more funny lines?
Yeah, so Alfred and Bruce are in the Batcave, and Alfred's trying to, I think, calm Bruce down. He says, such rot, sir. Why, you're the very model of sanity. Oh, by the way, I've pressed your tights and put away your exploding gas balls.
Now, before we get to the competition round, if you're new to the podcast and you're enjoying it, please... Yes, Father, I shall become a bat. If you can't commit to that, please just tell a friend and leave a review. In Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Chucky Sol and Buzz Bronski, associates of crime boss Sal Valestra, are murdered by a shadowy caped figure that the superstitious cowards presume to be the Batman. When news of Bronski's death reaches Valestra, the evil old fuck turns in desperation to insane former associate and known Batman agitator, the Joker, offering him a handsome reward for killing his nemesis. Sally's survival plan is scuppered, though, as Joker's plan to take out the Batman involves strapping a bomb to Valestra's rictus grinning corpse. Now aware the vigilante Phantasm is not the Batman after all, Joker abandons Sal's plan and starts looking for the real killer, interrogating councilman and former lawyer Arthur Reeves, who reveals the Phantasm is Andrea, the daughter of his legal client, businessman Carl Beaumont. Luring Andrea to his lair at the abandoned and dilapidated Gotham World's Fair, Joker attacks her with a chub roll of bologna and a comically giant Dick Sprang fan, with his ultimate contingency plan being to detonate the whole place with Andrea and quite possibly Batman inside. But how did the Panel of Peril rate Valestra's and Joker's diabolical schemes? Was it a good concept? And how well was them pulled off? And let's hear first from Adam.
Shit. Really shit.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
He's running around with his head on fire, and he goes, oh, should I just think about it for a bit, or should I just panic and just go for the biggest gun possibly, and it'll probably blow my head off, which he does, and he goes for Joker, which is absolutely... It's a more insane plan than Joker is insane. Good. I'm glad he's dead. Good.
I'm glad you're dead.
I suppose arguably that it would be a more insane plan for anyone other than Sal, but because Sal was previously Joker's boss, maybe he thought, well,
But he's living in a dilapidated World's Fair.
That's true. That is true.
He's not going to have all his faculties about him.
Having conversations with a carrot shopping robot.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, I did pick this film on the strength of that being the most batshit plan possible. So
yeah, it is. It's a stupid plan.
The best. Do you agree, or do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there's a reason why it's not really a trope in Batman that I'm aware of, that people try to get Joker to do their dirty work for them, unless they're a fellow supervillain rather than a common or garden mob boss who needs the use of an oxygen tank to stay alive.
Yeah.
Loopy. There was never any chance that he was going to make it out alive as soon as he engaged the Joker, particularly this version of the Joker who's, like we've said, genuinely quite sinister.
Yeah.
I think considering the amount of money that he offers him, the Joker, $5 million to begin with, surely there's multiple other solutions to this problem.
Right.
How much that was worth in 1993 compared to now, that's an absolute fortune, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because that is the format of our podcast. So it should bode well. Multiple other solutions. Well, Ben, you have anything to add to that? Obviously, you were hearing, so I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Absolute nonsense. I mean, he's tried to control the uncontrollable.
Right.
It's like having a swimming pool with like a few little bits of little tiny white bait have got in there somehow, or some frogs or something.
Yeah.
And you've got a shark to get rid of them.
Yeah.
But then you've left the shark in there, and now your kids are swimming in the pool.
No, worse, you're swimming in the pool.
No, you're sitting on the side of the pool, dangling your nuts in. That's what you're doing.
Put dog food all over your junk and you've got in the pool for a swim.
And I've nicked myself shaving, and that doesn't help. So no, absolute nonsense plan. And actually, I've just come up with the plan he should have gone with now. Shame I didn't previously.
Well, you can tell us it after we've done all the plans.
Yeah. So Valestra, for me, he's only getting one floret of broccoli. And the top of the broccoli is green, as you'd expect, but he's powdered the stem of it white to look a bit like the Joker.
Nice. I like that.
Ooh, snazzy.
Yeah. So what about Joker's plan once he takes over, which basically involves lots of blowing things up, as is his wont?
Typical Joker plan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Joker plan. But does he get any more broccoli?
Does he get any more broccoli?
Yeah.
Just for disguise himself as a building, he gets 3 broccoli flourished from it.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
This is the part of the show where the Panel of Peril compete for the title of Season 5's Most Diabolical. Up for grabs is 1 point for each vote, which will go towards the series leaderboard. In desperation, Valestra plotted to enlist the services of the insane Joker to protect him from deadly vengeance. And predictably, the Clown Prince of Crime scheme involved lots of dynamite. But what would you have done differently, Adam?
Valestra is terrified, but richly terrified. He's not going to hide away on his own or track down a criminal lunatic in Joker to deal with his problem. No, he's going to man up. Valestra uses his financial muscle to recruit some top heavies to his cause, namely to stop Phantasm unaliving him. He also recruits Dr. Hugo Strange to his gang and uses his technologically advanced brain to counter the Phantasm, using a fog that he created to help his evil gang rob banks some years ago. When the Phantasm tracks down Valestra to a large warehouse, Valestra is prepared. Sitting on a chair in the middle of the warehouse, Phantasm approaches Valestra and slashes at him, but he disappears into a puff of smoke. Dr. Hugo Strange's contribution to the fight, and the room begins to fill with his fog. Suddenly, steel doors slam down at every exit point, and shutters come down on the windows. Then, Sal's hired heavies burst forth from numerous wooden crates, wearing specialist suits and gas masks, so they can see and move through the thick fog, while Phantasm is trapped. Phantasm tries to do some jiggery-pokery with their smoke, but Dr. Strange's fog is premium fog. If it was a car brand, it would be German designed. If it was a shop, it'd be Fortnum and Mason. It's just superior quality and cannot be denied. As Phantasm panics, the goons close in and start to push Phantasm towards a corner. One of the buggers fires a net, and it drags Phantasm down to the floor, where the rest of the hired muscle beat the living shit out of it. Their shit-kicking reveals that it was Andrea Beaumont, and they'd just beaten up and killed a girl. Ba, says one of the henchmen, most likely to be a grass. You killed a girl, you killed a girl, he adds. The room clears of smoke, and Valestra enters, looks down upon the corpse of Phantasm / Andrea Beaumont, then shoots the gobshite villain in the face. That'll learn him.
Who's Hugo Strange?
He's one of the scientist villains from the Batman series. He appeared in numerous
Is he Doctor
comics.
Strange?
No.
No.
Quite different.
So he's not a doctor.
He is a doctor.
He's a doctor, yes.
So he is Doctor Strange.
He's not the Doctor Strange, he's a Doctor Strange.
Well, I'm not going to pretend to understand anything about this.
He's progressed to the point of doctorness that he's Mr. Strange.
I don't know if it's an honorary doctorate or not, and then he's just gone and been a scientist. Who I don't know. He could have got it from the University of Loughborough. I can't comment on those.
I'll make it a little bit easier for you, Ben, because I know you're a naif to the ways of comics, but Doctor Strange, the magician guy, is Marvel, and Batman is DC, 2 different entities. So it's okay for them to have a character with the same name in their worlds.
Right, okay. So Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Hugo Doctor Strange to Hugo.
Yes. Just call him HS for sure.
Would you say that the fog he produces is a fog of undeniable quality?
Yes, I would. I should have put that in. Thank you for that. I need to remember to do that all the time.
I'm glad that's made such a mark.
I love it.
It reminded me of Predator 2 when Gary Busey's team try and kill the Predator in like a freezer or whatever, and they're using the special visors to see, and they don't know the Predator's got a special setting on its mask.
But the Phantasms are people. He's not an alien, or she's not an alien. He's a people.
It's true. It's true. She does have her own fog, and she was partly inspired by Marvel's Mysterio, and meant to have a similar sort of power set to Mysterio.
You mentioned that she was an orphan.
Yeah.
Can you be orphaned as an adult?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, they made a Curb episode about it, didn't they?
Oh, I'm an orphan.
Yeah?
Yes, you are. Do you want me to adopt you?
I didn't even know.
You live with me now, Ben.
All right, well, let's hear next from Ben.
Sal Valestra sits alone, a single glass of whiskey casting a long shadow under the flickering candlelight. His face, marked by years of dirty doings, is etched with the desperation of his fight for survival against a phantasm. Where could he find an ally? Who could possibly defeat this seemingly unstoppable adversary? It would have to be someone with considerable power, yet free of empathy and moral constraints. Swirling his drink, he mutters to himself, weighing his options. The colourful clothes, constant buffoonery. Perhaps too unpredictable, he rasps, his hand hovering over the phone. Indecision a rare adversary for a man so versed in dark dealings. Dare he call the clown? A laugh, bitter and hoarse, escapes Valestra. Why not? He sneers. Perhaps what we need is a different kind of madness. Valestra picks up the phone, his fingers dialing with deliberate slowness. It's Valestra, he says. I've got a job for you. One that requires your particular touch of creativity. After several charged seconds, a voice on the other end of the line responds. Certainly. At Timmy Mallet's magical moments, we strive to make your day utterly brilliant. As he hangs up, Valestra's grimace turns into a smirk. Gotham is about to witness a new kind of show. For a world cloaked in darkness, sometimes the brightest colours cast the deepest shadows. Before I get any questions about it...
Oh, that's the end?
Is that it?
Yeah, because you know what Timmy Mallet's about. You know he's going to get the job done. We've heard it before.
Yeah, I know he's going to beat Batman to death with an actual hammer.
You just went Sal Valestra, Timmy Mallet, the end. That's it, basically, your plan.
Check WhatsApp just for proof that Timmy Mallet does exist in comic book lore.
Wow.
Timmy Mallet already exists in the comic book realms.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So Timmy Mallet's in comics, hence he can beat Phantasm.
Thank you for drawing those parallels. That's exactly correct.
That's your logic, I'm saying. I don't share or endorse those views, I'm afraid.
Listen, has Timmy Mallet previously defeated some quite considerable adversaries in John McClane?
Twice.
If he can beat McClane, the unkillable McClane, then he can defeat Phantasm.
Okay. Right. But in undefined terms, though, yeah?
We know he's going to use a mallet.
Undoubtedly.
Is he going to hide behind like a bin and pop out and hit him from behind a bin? Or is he going to like pop out from behind him, slam a couple of plasters over his eyes and then hit him with the hammer?
All of those things, yeah.
But his mallet's
He
right
can
with
pop
him,
out
doesn't
from behind bins. He can pop out from behind bushes.
Mm-hmm.
He's popped out from behind the milk aisles in supermarkets.
Hiding in the milk fridge behind a couple of 4-pinters.
He's disguised himself as buildings in the past. He's done it all.
All right, well, if we're all happy, we're done humouring Ben.
Do you feel like you made a contribution? That's the main thing.
As long as my 5 minutes is taken up on the podcast, I'm happy.
Well then, let's hear from the best.
Oi, oi! Phantasm here, look. Fancy man, innit? Look at my lovely suit and finery, eh? Slags. Pickled egg, anybody? Eh? Jelly deal, anyone? Eh? No? Slags. That's what Sal Valestra thinks Phantasm sounds like, default sub. He's 100% wrong, but you just can't tell him. He thinks he knows it all, but he doesn't. However, what he does know is how to take the Phantasm out before the Phantasm can take him out. Firstly, he insulates his entire home with styrofoam. Why styrofoam? Because that will negate the effects of dry ice, which Phantasm uses for their theatrical entrance. Valestra can also jazz it up by colouring the styrofoam in with felt-tip pens if he wishes. He probably won't, though. Secondly, Phantasm has a giant hook for one of their hands. I googled how to solve a problem like a hook hand, and it turns out it is a symptom of gripping something too tightly in sports like golf, tennis, cricket and whatnot. Poor old Phantasm must be in agony, so without that pesky dried ice obscuring everyone's view when they arrive at Valestra's abode, Big Fanny's line of sight is drawn straight to the sports therapist stationed in the foyer. Finally, on the off chance that Phantasm turns out to be someone seeking vengeance for some nonsense or other that Valestra did in his younger days, he simply hides in his panic room, having filled the rest of his home with oxygen from his many, many tanks with which he uses to breathe from outer and what have you. A simple button push from his safe room turns the life-sustaining gas into life-taking super weapons, and Valestra is free to wait and watch episodes of Highway to Heaven or whatever until the emergency services arrive, sans Batman, to make the area safe. That's probably the strongest part of it, using the oxygen as a weapon, I would say.
So he'd have to seal up his whole house so the oxygen doesn't escape and mix with like normal air, which isn't flammable.
Yes. Have you heard of super glue?
I'm aware. Go on.
He just goes around all the windows, bottoms of the doors. He's got, those little brush things you can attach to the bottom of the drawers, like...
Draft excluder.
Yeah, it covers that in super glue. Huh? Nothing's getting through that.
If everything's super glued, though, how would Phantasm get in?
Phantasm's in, doesn't it?
Phantasm's in.
How does Phantasm get into anything in the film? Phantasm's in.
And so what's Valestra breathing at this point? Now his house is sealed up with super glue.
Well, he's in his panic room, of course, so he has got the regular mix of... What is it? It's not H2O, that's water. Well, what's the regular mix for air?
Bit of nitrogen, bit of oxygen in it.
Yeah, he's got your regular mix rather than your pure oxygen in his panic room.
And that's pumped in from...
The panic room in film panic room has a vent to the outside, doesn't it? Which bypasses the rest of the house.
Mm.
So what you've done there is Phantasm, rather than going in the house, could just cover that vent. Is what you're saying, basically.
If they were aware of it, I suppose.
Yeah, could, but they're not that clever. That's the best part of the plan. Phantasm's not even that clever.
Did you hear that?
I think what Ben's forgotten is Phantasm is a woman.
Oh, no, that's what Gaz is. The best, who is one of the finest looking misogynists I've ever seen. I can't believe he said that. Anyone that gives him points today now is approving of his misogyny.
Her head's full of things like crochet and children
Yeah, and kittens.
More kissing with Bruce.
Yeah, she hasn't got time to think about how panic rooms work.
All right. This is weird. This house seems to be glued shut.
Yeah.
I'll just phantasm my way in.
Can you imagine turning up to a house that's full glued up?
Glue and styrofoam.
I think actually you don't need to glue all the windows shut. To fill a room with oxygen to the point where it becomes inflammable isn't that hard. I think it happens by accident quite a lot.
No, it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure London's Burning, I've seen at least 3 episodes where that very thing happens. Some old fucker with a tank explodes their house.
Oxygen is not flammable.
Yes.
But it can cause other materials to burn
It's an accelerant.
or to ignite more easily and burn far more rapidly.
Yeah, styrofoam.
The result is that a fire involving oxygen can appear explosive-like.
We're really fighting for these last few points, aren't we? We're really getting down to the nitty-gritty now.
Oh, it's everything.
Well, speaking of which, here's my attempt at fishing for your praise. Someone is out to whack me and the boys, and word on the street is it's the Bat. Not his M.O., but maybe he finally snapped all the way. The only one who's ever come close to taking out Batman is the Joker. But now that I think on it, he's never actually succeeded. So that'd be like hiring the Coyote to kill the Roadrunner. Which gives me a little idea. We live in the Warner Brothers animated universe, and there's characters here way more Looney Tunes than Joker, and way more likely to save my hide. First, I pop into the old WB water tower to see Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, the Animaniacs. Nice kids. They do a fun skit on Truffaut's The Bride Wore Black and show me their impersonations of the Beatles and Peter Lorre. You know, fun stuff for the average 10-year-old in the 90s. But it becomes clear all too soon that these guys ain't killers. My next thought is Elmer Fudd, who's never killed the Wabbit, sure, but so far as I know, the Bat ain't never dressed up as no lady, so maybe the hunter will stand a chance. While I'm thinking this, a magical imp named Bat-Mite pops up from the 4th dimension to inform me that my stalker is a lady and ain't Batman after all. And apparently Elmer Fudd has teamed up with the Bat before? What a world! The little scamp also tells me how things are supposed to go down. Me killed by Joker, and him failing to kill Andrea. He blabs every detail. The robot wife, the acid flower gag, the baloney and the kick to the balls. And that's when I know what we gotta do. I make a special purchase from a crooked judge and have it delivered in a package along with a note to the Joker. The note explains the whole deal, and I know he won't be able to resist my plan. He hates getting kicked in the balls. I used the cash I was gonna pay Joker to get out of town while it all goes down. When Andrea confronts Joker, he'll spray her with his boutonniere like before, only this time instead of acid, the thing is full of dip. The Toon Girl is erased from the DC animated universe, and I'm free to die of emphysema on a yacht.
Which is the dream.
Isn't it? That's what we all want in the end, isn't it? That's what we're all hoping for. Quite ironic that he's so keen to save his hide when he's clearly on his last fucking legs anyway. Evil old fuck.
He wants to die on his own terms.
Yeah, of emphysema on a yacht. Some bat-shittingly diabolical schemes there, but who will get the votes? Time to recap the plans. So, first we had Adam's Fancy Fog Face-Off. Then we had Ben's Die Hard Double Dip Mallet Dirty Doings. Next we had the best misheard Mockney Oxygen Explosion Panic Room Staycay. And finally we had my Looney Tunes Dip Death Ding Dong.
Oh, pretty shit this week.
There was one that stood out as shitter than all the others, though.
I was just about to vote for you there, Adam.
I know you weren't. Don't you say that.
Okay, so the best looks ready. Who did you vote for?
I voted for Craig.
It's me. And Adam, you look ready. Who have you voted for?
I, too, have voted for yourself, Craig.
Oh, it's 2 for me. Wonderful. And Ben.
Well, how's he getting points? It was the shittest plan. It didn't make any sense.
What are you talking about? Just you didn't understand it. Doesn't mean it was bad.
Didn't make any sense whatsoever. Someone just pops up, randomly, didn't fit in the film, but decided to pop up now. Oh, there's your plan. Nonsense.
Well, if you knew anything about Batmite, you would know that it's his want.
You wait for my vote?
Yes.
I'm withholding.
I
I choose not to vote. I voted for TB3. Even though oxygen isn't flammable, the panic room idea is good and it will probably keep him safe.
Yeah.
And I also voted for the best in that.
Oh.
That's bullshit. Mallet is easily the best plan there.
Yeah, but it was the best plan.
Yeah, I repackaged it.
Rebadged it, you fool.
Either way, he gets the vote.
Wait. Hold your votes back for a second.
Yeah.
What I had the idea before was
Oh, yeah.
Salvador,
Salvador. Yeah.
whatever his name is.
The one
Valerie
and
Silvestre.
only, the wickedly talented.
He should have just home aloned it. He should have fucking home aloned his house.
Yeah.
That's the best plan.
That's not. You've got panic room. Kevin had a tree house.
If Kevin had had access to oxygen, he for sure would have filled his house with oxygen and exploded poor little Hank and Marv.
Right, so do I get any points for that plan?
No.
I don't think that's how the podcast point scoring
Ah,
system
for
works.
fuck's sake.
You don't know. My first plan was rubbish, so how about this one? After we voted.
Wait, give me a minute. I might have another one.
Well, the best. What has that done to the season 5 leaderboard?
It's all still to play for.
No, it's not. Don't patronize me.
You could still win, Ben.
In first place with 21 points is Craig. In joint second place with 18 points are the best, and Adam. And in final place with 15 points is Ben.
Like a travesty. Feeling the backlash from the first season still. You guys are so bitter.
Next week, Ben will be hosting for the final time this season. So what rundown old funhouse will you be tasking us with blowing up?
Well, gentlemen, as we're coming to the business end of the season, we are going to be dissecting the plan of an iconic villain. You may know her as Miss Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Well, heavy.
Hoo-ha! Is that the one?
Yeah, that's her catchphrase. Take your medicine. Hoo-ha!
Isn't it the guy who rips the sink out at the end? Hoo-ah!
Yeah.
And that wraps up this episode like an unhinged orphan in a death shroud and a scary mask. Thank you for listening, and if you want us to eliminate your enemies, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and leave us a review on the very platform on which you're currently listening. You can follow us on social medias at Diabolical Pod. Next week, we'll be competing to improve on the diabolical plot of Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest. Until then, remember, your angel of death awaits. Have you all seen Reanimator?
I haven't even seen the first one.
Reanimator? I hardly know her.
Batman. Listen, what the fans like, and you don't understand this because you haven't got any, is
Got no veins.
they like callbacks. Fans like callbacks.
Got no veins.
They love it.
I googled how to solve a probably what? Probably what? How to solve?
What are you saying?
I don't know.